Welcome to the You on the Camino de Santiago podcast, Season 5. This podcast is for and about people getting ready for their first ever pilgrimage on the Camino de Santiago in Spain, France, and Portugal. With your host, Camino guide and longtime pilgrim, Nancy Reynolds of the Camino Experience. Nancy here with a big hello and welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode with Cinda's inspiring story. What I took away from that episode is that we are each in the process of writing our own stories. We are each taking one step at a time in our lives, one step at a time toward our pilgrimage, and eventually we will take one step at a time on the Camino. Along the way, there are people standing by, people offering to help, and people cheering us on. We simply have to notice them and be open to receiving the gifts they have to give. This week's story is from Nidia from Salt Lake City, Utah in the U.S. Nidia walked part of the Camino Frances with her friend Joycelyn, starting in April this year. Their story is remarkable in that no matter what happened on the trail, they walked in faith and love. You're going to hear about some extreme weather conditions that, honestly, didn't slow them down at all. Rather, the weather seemed to deepen their experiences on the trail and seal their love for each other, their fellow pilgrims, and God. Nidia and Joycelyn are both members of the Church of Latter-day Saints, and faith and spirituality were the themes of their pilgrimage. Nidia's Camino highlights are all about the people she met and interacted with, the people she cried with, walked with, and celebrated with. She discovered the fluid nature of the now legendary Camino family idea, and she found that no matter where we come from, what or who we believe in, and what language we speak, we are all pilgrims on the road of life. This week, you're hearing Nidia's version of their Camino story, and next week, you'll hear Joycelyn's side of the story. Before we say hello to Nidia, I want to interject a request, and that is, if you haven't already done so, will you take a moment today to rate the You on the Camino de Santiago podcast, wherever you listen, on whatever app or streaming service you use? That helps others to find the podcast and know that it's worth listening to. And if you'd like, you can send me a quick message to let me know if and how the podcast has helped you prepare for your Camino journey. I'd love to hear from you at nancy@thecaminoexperience.com. Okay, let's go ahead and say hello to Nidia. Nidia, hi. I am just delighted that you agreed to come back on the podcast.
Oh, I am just so happy. Like I told you in the email, I'm jumping all over the place to be here with you.
I've been waiting for this because I knew I wanted you in season 5 again, and we've been corresponding, but I was waiting until the end of July to get started recording interviews. And I'm like, but I want to talk to Nidia. I want to talk to her now, but so this day has finally come. So I am just delighted to be here with you today and hear about your Camino. I did receive comments from people that they were really touched by your first interview. And
that's beautiful. Thank you so much for letting me know.
Yes. And that happens from time to time with people, but it's really notable when it does happen that people are touched by a conversation. And so I'm certain that my listeners are ready to hear what happened on your Camino.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is start by putting the pin in the map and have you remind us what you were planning to do. What was your Camino plan?
My Camino plans was to start from Burgos.
Okay.
And I did.
Burgos on the Camino Frances. Yes. And walk from there to Santiago or onto the coast?
No, I did Santiago de Compostela, and Joycelyn, that was the lady that went with me. She took a bus from Santiago and she went to Finisterre by herself. But I didn't go because I already did with my husband and my kids, like maybe 20 years ago.
Okay.
With my mom when I was living in Madrid. So I felt like I wanted to stay in Santiago and walk and look into, I just will see it and I will look into people coming. And it was just a joy. And I didn't want to miss that for the day or two that we were in Santiago.
That is one of my favorite things to do in Santiago is to spend time in the big plaza in front of the cathedral and witness people
Yes.
walking in. I'm going to
Yeah.
make myself
Oh,
cry just
yeah.
talking about it. Just the
Beautiful.
emotion and the energy and the
Yeah.
thrill. And then the other side of it where people maybe walk in alone and don't know anybody and the heaviness of that. So there's every experience
Yes.
in that plaza.
It's a beautiful, it's for me, it was like being in a therapy. It was, I was happy. I I have joy when I made it to Santiago and seeing other people having the same experience. I felt like we were a big family, and it was people coming, like when somebody come and visit you and they don't come at the same time and they come in different times, and I didn't know them, but I felt like I've been in the place where you have been, and we know each other, even
Yes.
when we don't know names, so we don't know where you are. And I think that's the beauty and the richness of El Camino de Santiago, is that you become a family. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter in your language, if your hair is black or blonde, because at the end, most of the time, you are in a ponytail and a hat. Yes. So we're all the same.
It's so interesting that you say that because people talk about having a Camino family and we think of it as something that you get at the beginning and you have the whole way to Santiago. But what you've just described is being in the plaza, not knowing these people, not having talked to them, not having walked with them, but there's this amazing sense of community and connection and kinship with people because we have this one thing in common now that we've walked the Camino de Santiago.
Yeah, for sure. It's a beautiful energy in that
Mm,
place. For me, honestly, it was like a sacred place where everybody came, and some people cry, some people laugh, group of people, individual. It was so, honestly, it was so beautiful to see everybody. It made me happy,
ugh,
honestly.
I
It made
love
me so
that.
happy.
I
Hmm.
love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, so would you remind us why you walked the Camino? What was your reason going into it?
Well, because I went to Santiago so many years ago, not for the purpose to go to. I didn't know anything about Camino de Santiago. It was my husband that had to go for work when we were living in Madrid, and we went with my mother that came to visit. In my mind, when I saw everything there, I just said to Carlos, I would like to come and do this one day. But my son, Brian, my youngest, I have two boys. My youngest was probably about 6 years old. And now Brian is almost 28 years old. So it's been so long. But the reason why I dedicate my steps, my energy, my everything, because when you are there, you just give yourself. It's not the house, it's not a car, it's not your career, it's you. It's everything in you. You give everything that you have, and I wanted to do it for my grandson, Iker.
Mm.
I wanted to do and dedicate the Camino to my grandson.
What did that look like? Dedicating that to Iker.
Well, I will have to jump into the cross of Pharaoh. I'm very emotional, okay?
Yeah.
um, I'm a very sensitive person, and sometimes in my mind, I think sometimes this is good, but sometimes it's not. And some people said to me, people that loved me, and said, Nidia, that's just your essence. The feeling that you get with things,
Mm.
how you get emotional, that's your essence. Yeah, that is who you are, you know? So don't hide it. Don't put it under a table. This is just your gift. And I'm grateful for that, but sometimes I feel like I get very, very sensitive. But I love my Iker with all my heart. He is out of this world. He is so special. And you know that in the first podcast, I told you guys that my grandson loved the solar system and he knows every detail. He will be 10 years old next month, August the 21st. And you know that for 9 years, he have not eaten anything, only the juice that Allah made for him. So he's a miracle. And I live in gratitude every single day for one more day to be with Iker. And he is like, he's a miracle. That's the way that I can describe him. So when I was walking, as you know, because you see so many books, you read books, you look into videos, into podcasts, and you have all these ideal way to do the Camino is this expectation of what this or that person said. But when you are there, is your own Camino, is your own experience, is you start seeing things that maybe other people doesn't see, and not because you are the last Pepsi in the desert. It is because your Camino, you go with certain things that you wanted to happen. And what I wanted to, it was somehow to bring my grandson with me, even when he was not there. And I'm telling you, he was there with me. So as I walk, I thought about him, I don't want to say, because in the first one, I also said that my son, when we knew everything that he was going through at the beginning, and it's going to be 9 years ago when everything started. My son said, I don't want anybody in this home, in our family, to say that he's a trial or a test. He's a blessing. So as I was walking, the words of my son that have been said 9 years ago, it was with me. Iker is in Spanish, Iker is in English. So I will say a lot of Iker in Spanish. He was a blessing. I walk with my grandson, and I wasn't, to give you an example, I was eating a meal, and I turned back to tell the lady that I needed something else. And when I turned back, it was a big frame with a solar system. And I breathed in, and because I am a believer of God and Jesus Christ, and that's the way that I live my life every single day, and prayer. And I in silence, I just said, thank you so much, Heavenly Father, because this is for Iker. And you are telling me that you accept what I'm doing, whatever I'm doing, whatever steps I go, whatever I do, I'm doing it for somebody that is so special, that is your son, that is my son's son, and that I am, like they don't call me grandma, they call me Agüita. So I'm his Agüita. Many things happened like that, where I saw the solar system in different places. And as I was leaving the Madrid airport, it was a huge solar system. And I took a picture, of course.
Was that a painting?
A painting in the window. It was huge.
So Iker was everywhere with you.
Look,
everywhere.
Because I was leaving to come home, and the solar system was huge in the airport in Madrid.
It sounds like the biggest one of the entire trip.
Yes. So
no accident there.
I saw things like that. I told you in the first podcast that a friend of mine made a rock. It has his name. And everybody that is listening to this podcast and is not being in the Camino, please look for Iker's rock, because it's there. And when you walk to the front of the cross, and you will see it, you will not miss it, because it's not a big one. It's kind of like, I don't know how to say the measurement, but it has his name, Iker, and it has the solar system.
Oh, wow.
And I have a picture, Nancy. I will show you that at the
Yes.
end so you can see it.
Yes.
So I did it for him. And I'm sorry that I took so long to say all these things just for your question. So
That's okay. You want to share more about the experience at the cross?
yes.
So before you do, just to make sure everyone knows, the Cross of Iron is a very special place on the Camino Frances. It is about 30 kilometers past the city of Astorga, 2 kilometers past the village of Fontebadon, and I believe it's the highest point on the
point.
Camino Frances.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's a place that for just centuries, people have been stopping with intention of some kind to leave something behind. The tradition for the Camino Frances, one of the traditions, is that people bring a rock from home to represent the burdens that they carry. And then they physically set down the rock at the cross to metaphorically set down their burdens. But I have a feeling that your story is a little bit different because you're not setting down a burden. Let's hear your story.
Well, let me just tell you that the night before, and I'm so sorry, I should have all the places, write it in a piece of paper.
Don't worry
but
about
I
it.
didn't, because I wanted to be organic.
Yeah.
The place where we stay, it was freezing cold. I went and talked to the lady. I told the lady, hey, the room is so cold. She brought more blankets until the room was warm enough, but it was snowing, because remember that I decided to go on April 15 was my first day when I left. And I took that because I wanted to be in my Camino spending less money as possible. And it was another intention that I have, that I wanted to do the Camino not as a tourism, but trying to do it in a way that I didn't have to spend a lot of money. So I was in this place, and I don't know, but I went back to sleep. I was so tired, but I was freezing cold. I couldn't take a shower, because when I went to the shower, the water was so freezing cold, and not hot water was coming. And it was a place that we pay, I think, was $18 or $20. And I'm not. This is not for me to criticize the place, because I didn't want to have negative feelings about, but it was a hard night for me to sleep. And then when we were leaving, we were with our rain jacket. I have one that went clear to my knee, up under my knee, and it was snowing, was freezing cold. My nose, my face was red. The gloves were not warming up. It was miserable. Okay. But I decided from the beginning, no negative feelings. I know this is going on, but I'm going to a beautiful place. I have my pens with planets. I have my I bought this specifically to take it to El Camino.
That's a bracelet. Yeah, people can't see it, but yeah.
With all the planets. I have also a necklace with all the planets. So I was ready to have a special time in the Cross of Pharaoh, leaving the rock in gratitude for having this soul that is so special, and that he had taught me so much. And so a lady that was sleeping in the room, she was from a place in Spain, so she didn't speak English. So we have a wonderful time together. And then she said to me, you know what, Nidia, it's raining, it's snowing. the place where you need to walk after the cross is gonna be muddy, is gonna be so if you want, what I'm gonna do, because this is not my first time doing this, is I'm gonna walk through the road, like where the cars go. I'm gonna walk that. I'm not telling you that you have to do that, but it will be, if you see that, because it's a lot of rocks, it's a lot of ups and downs. So if you want to do that, and so I said that to Joycelyn. I translated to Joycelyn, and she said, "Well, let's just get there and we will see."
See what happens. Yes.
Yeah. So we were walking through the road because I didn't like the way that looked, and I said, and I have the feeling like, do what the lady said. So I said, I'm gonna do that, and if I feel like it's time for me to get into the trail, I will get into the trail.
That's always an option. If you walk on the road, you
Mhm.
can get onto the trail. If you're on the trail, you can get onto the road in most
Yes.
cases. And the part that you're talking about is actually, in my experience, the most difficult descent of the entire Camino Frances, going
Yes.
from the Cross of Iron down into Molina Seca just
Yes.
before Ponferrada. So
Yes.
yeah, that probably was great advice.
So we did that, and then, but from far away, I start seeing the cross, because I have watched so many videos of people walking to the cross. I was not with any regrets at all. I was coming in gratitude, and I prepared myself for that. But even when I thought that I was prepared, it just hit me. Maybe because of the reason why I was going there, because I felt like my grandson was with me, and we both were just leaving the rock there. And in fact, when I was walking, I said to Joycelyn, I don't think so I can leave this rock. And I got another one in the way, and I said, oh, this is a cute one. I probably will leave it there, and I am not going to leave the rock, because when I left, my youngest granddaughter, Emma, she looks physically like me when I was her age. She started crying. And she said, are you going to leave this rock? Awita, please don't leave this rock. Bring this rock home.
Oh.
I walk to the cross. I'm walking and I'm listening and I'm looking her face. Don't leave the rock. Don't leave the rock. But I just said, I just going to go every second and every minute from here to the cross. I'm looking to the cross. I got there. I asked Joycelyn to record me, because I want my family to look into every detail of things that I have talked to them every time we eat dinner. We eat dinner every other Sunday. My 2 kids are married now. They live in their own home. But I talked to them about the rock. I showed them the rock. I told them everything about the rock. So we got there. Joycelyn record me, but I think you're never prepared to get into the place, because for me, again, it was another sacred place. Mm-hmm. Around me was people speaking different language. It was an Italian, a Portuguese, English, and a Korean guy. It was other people that I didn't know where they came from, but they were all different. But we were there with the same purpose. And it didn't matter where they were coming from, how they made it to the place. We were all there, and everyone had a reason why to be there. For me, it was one of the most pure, beautiful places to be. It was raining. The rocks have snow, so you have to dash the snow to be able to see. And I went around. I have hundreds of pictures, videos, because every rock was telling me a story.
Oh.
It was like people that were not there, but were there once, bringing the rock. And I could feel their feelings. I don't know how to explain it. It was a sacred place. And usually on Sundays, that was a Sunday. On Sunday, I go to church. Mm-hmm. And Joycelyn and I, we are in the same religion. We're Mormons. We talk about reading a talk from one of the authorities in the church. We choose one and we said, okay, we will just sit here and we will read that, we will pray, and then we will go on, and just what a most beautiful sacred place with the snow, the pine trees behind the cross of Pharaoh is just like a forest of pine tree, and all the people bringing their own. I mean, they were not bringing their car, they were not bringing their home, their careers. We were the same level. I didn't know how many money you have in your account. It was, and it will be a beautiful experience, a sweet experience, a peaceful. I just was eating it. I want more. I want more. It just feels so amazing. And then, so I left my rock, took pictures, took videos, but I listened a lady crying behind me. And she's crying. And of course, every morning I will pray and I will say, Heavenly Father, help me to find somebody that I can help, somebody that I can lift up, or just a friend to talk, And I turned around and I said, do you speak English? And she said, yeah, I'm Australian. And I said, hi, can I give you a hug? And she looked at me and she said, please. And I hugged her. And Nancy, it was like an explosion. It was like I was in the solar system, somewhere there, and all the planets were just shoo, shoo, shoo. It was beautiful. There were two sisters from different countries, from different parents, but it was beautiful. Anyway, I gave her the hug and then she left. Joycelyn was leaving a rock for her two granddaughters that they were born with heart problems. I don't remember right now the name of what happened to them. But she was leaving the rocks and she is in her moment there with her rock for her two daughters. And suddenly across of me is a guy like this. He's praying, tall guy. I probably could be his mother. He had a hat, a beanie, that very tall guy. And he is Nancy in his element. I am standing in front across of him. And I just took a picture. I said, this is too beautiful. I have to share this with my family. And anyway, I stood there at least 5-7 minutes. And the guy was like in his moment.
My listeners can't see you. So what Nidia was doing was she was in a position of prayer with her hands at her chest and her head down in a position of prayer to describe what this man was doing. Yeah.
And it was like, I said, wow, if I came from Utah to Texas, to Madrid, took a train to Burgos and walk until the cross of Pharaoh just to see this guy and to hug this lady, everything that I did was worth it. If I have to just stop here and go home, I will be the happiest person. The money that I spend or whatever I did or whatever I walk, or it was so worth it. And it made me so happy because I knew that I was coming for Ike, but I also was coming for Sue, that is the Australian person. And I was coming to see this beautiful human being praying for whatever he was praying.
You said it in a word, sacred. It was sacred. It was a sacred place and a holy moment.
Yeah.
And isn't that what our souls are longing for?
Yep.
Those connections with the divine, however we experience or know the divine. I think that's what many of us are longing for.
Yeah. Joycelyn and I, we read the talk about this authority is an apostle from our church. We discussed everything that it was about prayer. The talk was about prayer, and we decided that one way before everything that we saw. And then we decided to go again into the road. We didn't go into the trail, but as I was walking on the road, it goes up, 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 and I could see the trail. I could see the people, and I could see some people struggling with their huge backpack. And, it was snowing, it was freezing cold. But Joycelyn and I, we were not together walking side by side. One time she was in front of me, sometimes I was in front of her, but we were having our moment, because for us was Sunday, was a Sabbath day, and we were just looking to the beautiful mountains and the snow, and it was the most beautiful picture. I'm telling you that probably that was the happiest place for me. And then suddenly, as we are walking, we stop to take pictures of this beautiful mountain. And suddenly I just hear somebody behind us. And we are in the road, we are not on the trail. And as I'm looking back, is this guy from probably I'm not pronouncing it right. Nancy, help me out. Malaysia.
Malaysia.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I said, hi, but it was like, where did this guy came from? I didn't see him walking with us, but suddenly he was there. And so we talked for a minute. The guy speak English, and so we were able to communicate, and then we just keep going. And we came to a place where the trail crossed the road, and we went to the other place, to this little town that I don't remember the name, but it was a cute Pinterestic place, very
Picturesque.
beautiful. Pinterest place, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Thank you, Nancy.
That word.
Yeah, that word. I just get so emotions inside of me that I cannot pronounce things. So before people were crossing, and I have some little rocks inside of my shoes, so I decided to sit and take things out, and there comes again the guy from Malaysia. His name was Donald. Anyway, so I said to Joycelyn, should we go through the trail? And Donald knew everything. He read, I don't know how many things about exactly the trail. And he said, you're going to be fine. It's some rocks or whatever, but you're going to be fine. So we decided to get into the trail. So we got into the trail, and here and there we will talk to him. So we got to the end of the trail, and it was just to go like 5 minutes and get into the town. And we stopped there because it was beautiful, and we took some pictures. And he was there, but by this time he doesn't have his glasses on, he doesn't have his hat, and his face looked younger when he took his hat. His hair was like gray, a lot of gray, but the guy looks young. So we talked to him for a minute, asked him about his family, about why he was there, the questions that you always ask people. And I said, Donald, I would love, after he said all the pain that he was having in his country, and he was almost all the time on the floor, and people will laugh at him. How are you going to go and walk that if you have all these problems in C5 and C4 or whatever? And he said, I know, I believe in God, and I wanted to go and do El Camino. So he started from France, but he said that before he came, he barely could walk.
Wow.
And I'm just standing there talking to this guy and listening to his story. And I said, I want to take all the time to listen to you. And it was so beautiful. And then I said, hey, Donald, I would love to take a picture with you. Do you mind if I take a picture, Joycelyn, you and I, because I wanted to have a picture of you for my memories. And he looked at me and he said, from the time I left France, nobody have talked to me, only you guys.
No one had talked to him?
Talk to him. And I was with
Oh,
my mouth like,
oh,
what? What? You're just so amazing. Your story
wow.
is so amazing. But anyway, we took the picture. He took the picture because I said, your arms are longer than mine. And we were laughing. And then he stayed in that little town. So I didn't see him anymore. So we got finally, after this beautiful trail, from Cross the Faro to Molina Seca, the flowers that it started raining, and it was up and down and up and down, but
It's a hard day.
it was beautiful. We got there, we got to the place, and then we went to our place that we got. The name of the place is El Oso, and the owner is from Madrid. So we were just talking, in Spanish. And he was so nice. Anyway, we got to our room. He brought us to the room. He explained all the stuff. Here's the washer, here's the dryer, here's the bathroom, what they always said. And it was a guy sleeping. It was only 4 bunk beds. And it was a guy kind of like in the front of us. He was like sleeping with his head down. So he was sleeping, so I didn't say anything. And it was just Joycelyn and I in that moment. So we put our stuff in a locker and we went to find something to eat. So we are sitting there waiting for our food to come. It was kind of like one of those bars that have the tables outside. So we're sitting there and I feel like somebody's coming toward me. And is this lady, and she comes close to me and she said, are you the lady that hugged me in the Cross of Pharaoh? And I'm like,
The Australian woman.
and she chose the same place as us. It was Sue, the lady that I hugged on the cross. I stood up, we hugged, we cried. And then I said, Sue, can you tell me what were you crying? Like you were crying. And she told me that she lost her husband 3 years ago of cancer. And I think they went on a vacation way before they knew he had cancer. And he found a little rock, but she was not planning to come to El Camino. I don't know if she knew about El Camino by then. And she brought up the rock and she was crying. Exactly what happened to me. Do I leave the rock or do I keep the rock because he gave me the rock?
Yeah.
She was crying because she felt she had to leave the rock like I did.
Oh, wow. Yes. And there's something about leaving something that has a connection to someone who's important to us. Yeah. One year I carried a photo of my mom, my brother, and myself from my mom's last Christmas. And I didn't know, of course, that it would be her last Christmas. And I carried the photo with the intention to leave it at the cross. And I told the story to enough people that it was resolved within me. I was feeling so uplifted and light. And by the time I got to the cross, I didn't feel I had anything to let down, to let go of. And so I kept the photo. But I can really see if there's a connection to a person that rock represents, it would be so hard to let that go.
It was.
Yeah. And these untimely and early deaths, there's so many stories on the Camino
Yeah.
of people who have lost loved ones
Yeah.
and are just struggling to heal from that and to live their lives without the person they thought they got for the whole run, you know?
Yes, you're right.
Wow. What a beautiful story.
The thing, Nancy, is that, okay, we hugged, we took pictures. She gave me her WhatsApp. So we stay in touch until today. We stay in
Oh,
touch. And then we got back. Okay, let's go back. Let's go take a shower. When I go inside of my room, you remember that guy that was praying?
yeah.
He was in the room.
He was in the room. Oh, you are a magnet for these beautiful connections.
I said, Joycelyn, that guy's here. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go talk to him. And he's sitting just in his phone. He doesn't have his hat anymore, long hair, beautiful soul from Ireland. And I went there and I said, hey, I'm a married woman. I have kids. And in fact, probably my oldest one is about your age. I have grandkids, but I needed to talk to you. And he's looking at me. And when he stand up, he's just so tall. And I said, I saw you in the cross of Pharaoh, and I'm sorry. I took a picture of you and I sent it to my husband and to my kids and I could not. The words were here in my mouth. I wanted to ask, what were you praying for? And I said, no, Nidia, that's not a question. You cannot ask that question. But I said, can I give you a hug? So we hugged, we took pictures. So I will show you the guy because I have pictures with him. And I told him how he impacted me. And I said, I don't know you, but you're such a beautiful soul. You're a beautiful spirit. And anyway, then came another couple from Minnesota, and we talked, and then we took pictures. Then came the owner of the hostel and sat there in a chair, and we talked for a long time. And he said, well, I better go because everybody wants to go to sleep. So it was beautiful.
Beautiful connections.
I will never, ever forget what I saw in the cross and meeting these two people that impact me. It was like, it was meant to be.
Yes, clearly. So beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk a little bit about sort of the logistics or factual or practical
Mm-hmm.
stuff about your Camino. So it sounds like you stayed in albergues. Did you stay exclusively in albergues?
I stay, another thing to be able to connect that. So about 20 something years ago, I met this missionary from United States in Madrid. And I go to church here in the place where I go here. And I met a sister of this guy.
Okay.
And then she told me about that he was coming to Utah because he's a professor in another state in United States, that he was coming home. And I haven't seen that guy from the time he was serving a mission in Madrid. And she said he's coming because he's doing things. He has 5 kids. And he's doing something with his family, going to different places in Europe, and he's going to do El Camino de Santiago. And I'm like, what?
Say what?
So anyway, she invited me for a dinner, and we talk, his wife and him. His wife is from Mexico. He's from here, from United States. And we talk until late about El Camino and about everything that he was going to do. Well, he started in France with his 5 kids. The oldest one was 17 then, and the youngest was 4 years old, and he carried her here.
Wow.
And I am in Burgos, and you know how many hostels and hotels and places to stay in Burgos because it's a big city. And I'm in this community albergue that I was not planning to stay there. I just went to get my passport, my credential. And I was there, and I'm listening to this lady behind me. And when I turn around, is Betty, the wife of my friend. And we scream like crazy and we hug each other. They were going to stay in that place because they look for places like that because they have 5 kids, you know, and I was going to go to another place. but I walk with them next day because that was not a plan. We didn't know that we ever could get together because they started in France.
Wow.
So we walk for a week and I stay in the normal albergues that they stay. And because they were 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
so what they did is that almost everybody will give them like the last place where they could stay all together or a room that has that amount
Mhm.
of beds. So for a week, they show me everything, how to use the app, where to go, where were the places, if to buy food in supermarkets and cook in places that have kind of like a little kitchen. So I learned everything from them. And then we jump because we skip like 2 places in one part and 2 places in another part to
Okay.
be able to make it to Santiago. And we knew that. I
Okay.
didn't want to do it, but I didn't have time enough. So we stay in places where cost us like 9 euros, 10 euros. We stay in places 18. Like 2 or 3 times we have the opportunity to be in a room with 2 beds and a bathroom, and we pay a little bit more.
Mhm.
But it never was very, very expensive. I think that the highest that I paid was about $20.
Okay. Okay.
And
Very good.
we ate in the restaurants, the Peregrino meal, or sometimes we just did a bocadillo because
Okay.
we were so tired that we didn't care.
And a bocadillo is a giant sandwich, by the way.
Bocadillo with chorizo, you have to try it.
Yes,
My
yes.
best.
Perfect. Perfect.
Mhm.
And they are everywhere. You can get them in all
Yes,
the bars. Yeah,
yes,
very good. All right, good. Well, I appreciate knowing that because I know my listeners are always trying to imagine
yes,
someone else on the Camino. Where are you sleeping? And so
yes,
you were primarily in the shared dorms in the
yes,
albergues, and it sounds like all different kinds of albergues.
yes,
Very
yes.
good. All right. So the other question, logistics, I wanted to ask you about is you carried your backpack. Yes, you didn't transport your backpack.
I transferred the backpack from Saria to the end.
Okay.
And the reason why I did it is because somehow I felt like I needed to be more light as I was walking. So I never did it the 2 weeks before. I always carry it with me. But at the last 100 something kilometers that you do from Seria to Santiago, I did. And I felt fine on doing
Okay.
it.
I love that you said that you felt the need to be lighter as you approach Santiago.
Well, let me tell you one of the reasons also, Nancy. It was a week that didn't stop raining.
Okay.
It was raining and raining for a week from the time we got to Seria to Santiago. It was we walked a week under the rain.
Okay. Okay.
And that's where I felt like you need to go. It's just so much water everywhere. How can I explain this? The walking situation was so compromised,
Okay.
so hard to walk with the mud and water everywhere that we jumped from one place to another place until, I said, my shoes are wet already. So I went through the water, through the mud. I didn't care.
They can't get wetter. So let's just go with it.
If I'm lighter, I think I'm going to be better and I'm going
Yeah.
to avoid an accident,
Great.
and it happens to Joycelyn. She fell
Okay.
in one place. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Okay. I see. That's a really sounds like a very wise decision in
Yeah.
terms of ensuring you can complete the pilgrimage. Yes.
And when I was before Syria, because Joycelyn did it, it was €8 to transfer the backpack. As soon as you get to Syria, it goes to €4.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah, the price is definitely lower. They have I think it must be a quantity discount because they move so many more bags.
Yeah, it's more people.
Yes, exactly. So your backpack, you were sharing with me earlier before we started recording that your backpack was a very essential part of your Camino experience. And anyone who has already walked and has carried their backpack knows that by the time they reach Santiago, it is you, it is part
Yeah,
of you. But
yes.
I would love to hear your backpack story because I think it became part of you long before you even reached the Camino. Will you share with us how you came to know your backpack?
I would love to do that, Nancy. In my case, I look into reviews, many, to say at least, many reviews of backpacks. I look into YouTube, I look read books, and so I have in my mind the brand names that almost everybody use to go to do the Camino de Santiago, the colors, the places that you can get it. I didn't want to do it online because I wanted to be able to try it. So I knew that probably it will be easy to do it online. But and other people, what other people does too, is they go to places, they try it, and when they know that they like it, they start looking online because they already know that is good. And if they can find a deal or whatever, they do it online. But I didn't want to do it online. That was my preference. So I went to at least 5 or 6 times with my friend Joycelyn, with my husband, by myself. And neither one of the things that was, let's say it like this, in my expectations of what should I buy for me, neither one of them work. I went from looking in the first place to a 50 liters backpack. And when I put that in, I said, this is not for me. This is too big. No, no, no. Then I went down to 45 liters. I went down to 40. I went down to 35, even 30 liters. And I said, okay, I think I feel good about 30, 35, 40, but no more than 40 liters. But what happened is that people in the stores, they were just so nice. They measure you. They talk about what is that you are looking for. I mean, people honestly are the nicest one. But my friend at the second visit, she got her backpack and she already was ready to go way before was the day for us to leave. She had everything packed in her backpack and she was just sharing and so happy. And I was like, why I am going through this hard time finding a backpack.
I think that happens for people. There's an expectation that there's a Camino backpack and you go to the store and buy the Camino backpack, the one that works for the Camino. And the
Mm-hmm.
people who work at some of the sporting goods stores like REI in the
Mm-hmm.
US, they
Yes.
help people all the time, daily
Yes.
get fitted for backpacks for the Camino.
Yeah.
And you say, I'm walking the Camino. And they're like, yeah, got it. Okay, here's
Yeah.
what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly.
And so we get this expectation oh, it should be easy, should be easy. We do the same thing with our boots or our shoes. Okay, what are you
Yes.
wearing? You're wearing Hoka's? Great, I'll get Hoka's.
Yes. Yes. Amen. Amen to that.
Yeah. Okay. So you're in the store, you're trying all these different backpacks, nothing's working, and you're getting tremendous. I bet you have 5 new friends because you made friends with the people who were serving you.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Yeah. Well, I every time I will come home frustrated. And because the way that I work my life, I just work my life through prayer. I talk to my Heavenly Father, is just my friend. It's not just my Heavenly Father. I talk to Him for everything when I'm washing my dishes, when I'm cleaning my house, when I'm driving. So I said, why is that I cannot find my backpack? Joycelyn is ready, and I will come home and my husband will ask me, so did you buy your backpack? And I said, no. And I saved some money for that dream backpack that everybody's talking about. And I will go and I will have my money ready to buy the backpack, but no backpack. My family is from Spain, from the Canary Islands, and we have something that we always said, that when something is right, we will feel like it's the sound of a bell. So we always said, we didn't receive a tilín. That's the way that we say it in our family. No tilín, no tilín. And I was going through all this store and no tilín for Nidia. And at the end, the last time when I finally found it, I was leaving. I was leaving the store in tears because I thought, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna get one of those store bags that you use when you go to the store and buy your groceries. I will put a few things and I will just get my bag. And if it breaks, I will get another bag from the store, because I was so frustrated and came home. And again, I'm gonna go home without my backpack. And this beautiful human in the store that could be my daughter, and she knew all the years that I've been waiting to do this. She said, you know what, Nidia, come back. And she explained to me it was like a normal bag that you use, a backpack that you use to go like to college or something like that. It doesn't have a frame. It doesn't have all the things, I don't know how you call it, Nancy, but it's the frame of the backpack, and also have something where the air, because that's what you listen. Oh, the air will go through.
Yeah, the ventilation in the
The
back. So it's got a
ventilation.
curve.
Yes, a curve.
Yeah.
All those details, and that was in my mind. That's what I needed to get.
Uh-huh.
And when she gave me the backpack, it was completely straight, like close to my back. And she said, we don't have the leaders that you are looking for, but I just want you to try it. I want you to walk around the store and just tell me how you feel. And don't worry, we can send to your house the leaders and you can choose the color. So as soon as I put the bag, and I'm telling you, the bag probably was 25 liters. It was not 30. It was small. But as soon as I put it on, and didn't have, the things that you have around your waist.
The hip belt.
They didn't have that one. So she said, don't worry. The one that I'm going to send you home, it has that.
Okay.
And it was the brand name of the store. It was nothing close to what I was looking for.
Okay.
And as soon as I put the backpack talked to me, literally, and said, I am the one.
Oh, yay.
I choose the color that was like an orange. And my friend that walked with me, she said, oh, that's going to be so much fun. I'm not going to lose you. I'm going to be able to find you.
You'll stand out in a crowd. You'll stand out in a storm.
Yeah. And the backpack came. I text my husband and I said, the backpack is here. And they told me that was going to be in about a week, and came in 2 days.
So exciting.
He came back from work and he said, I cannot believe, Nidia, you haven't opened the box. And I said, no, because I was waiting for you to be here. I want you to record me so I can talk to my family about my experience. What I learned from this experience is that everybody will tell you, these are the shoes that work for me. These are amazing. These have this and that, all the details about the shoes or all the details about the backpack. But you really need to find what talk to you, that you feel comfortable. That honestly, for me, my backpack talked to me, and he just talked to me again when I opened the box. I'm here, Nidia, I am the one. And as soon as I put it on, and I start going through all the details, for me, it was a million backpack. And what I didn't tell you at the beginning, Nancy, one of my coworkers said, Nidia, I have never done something like this. They were all excited in my office that I've been working for 20 years. And she said, I wanted to buy the backpack for you, Nidia, way before all this happened. And she said, just tell me how much it is. And she said, I have never done something like that, Nidia, but I wanted to help you because I see that you are so excited about doing this. And anyway, so the backpack was completely less. It only cost me $120.
Amazing. And what a beautiful gift from your coworker.
Yes, yes. And
Oh
I
gosh.
I sent her the pictures and the video. And I have to tell you that that experience way before to go into a plane, or way before to go into the train, or way before walking, it just set the tone and
Sure.
my emotions about don't don't go there with expectations.
Mm.
Just live every day like one step at a time, one day at a time, and just get surprised. Like today, Nancy always send us like a guideline, or like some questions that maybe she will do. And I read it all, and with all my respect, because I love Nancy and I respect what she does. But I said, I just want to be surprised about the interview.
See where it goes.
Mhm.
It's such a reminder to me that when you say yes to walking the Camino, that's when the journey begins. That's when the
Yes.
pilgrimage actually begins, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And so your journey to find your backpack and to find that companion for your trip
Mhm.
and for your walk, that's
Yeah.
your pilgrimage. It's all part of it.
Yes.
What a
Yes.
beautiful story. Wow. Last thing I want to ask you about. What was it like to walk into Santiago?
Um, well, I have to say something here. Before we started a Camino de Santiago in my the religion that is part of me, we have a temple that is not like a normal church. It's a temple, is something more sacred. And we wanted to start going to the temple in Madrid. So we both went to the temple in Madrid. And then the next day was when we start our Camino. And then when we got to Santiago, I wanted to find any church that belongs to my church. And so they didn't have a big church like I do here, just a few minutes from home. It was like a normal building, and they call it a branch. It's something small. So we just walked like so fast from the place we were to be able to make it to Santiago. We stop in all the places where people take pictures, Santiago de Compostela, and we went to church first. And then
Oh,
after, it was many people coming with us, but we went to church first. And after we went to church, we got again into the trail where everybody was walking, and I record everything from far away, all the things that I have seen in videos. But now was my own Camino. It was not anybody's Camino. And I just look into people. I look into the road that is kind of like a very rocky road to get into Santiago. And from far away, I could hear the music. Oh my goodness. I was lucky to have a niece of my older sister, is her niece through her husband. She's going to college in Santiago, and she was so gracious to record me from far away. So she record Joycelyn and I, but I told her, don't tell me where you are. Just record, but don't tell me where you are. So she record us, and I record the music, the pipes,
the bagpipes,
the
yes.
pipes. That was like that tune. I I cry just looking to people and listen to their expressions. Remember that I speak Spanish, and when you get to Syria, it's so many Spaniard um, people from Spain, people
Yes.
from all over Spain. So I talked to many of them in the 100 something kilometers, and just to listen to their expressions that are the expressions of my own family that lives in Spain, that was like being like home, you know. So I listened to their expressions, to their sweating words of how excited they were, you know, and just to get into that place, to see the cathedral, that even when I am not Catholic, I respect all the people that many of them give their life to build such an amazing cathedral, and all the details and what it means for so many people when they know this is the end of my journey of El Camino de Santiago. I know that people go to other places after, but usually that's the place that we said is the end.
Yes, yes. Well, the Camino de Santiago, the way of St. James, would end at the tomb of St. James. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, so for many people, Fistera, the end of the world, is the actual end of their pilgrimage, but the Camino de Santiago, the terminus is Santiago de Compostela. Yeah.
And I think for me was not, I didn't see it as an end, because I wanted to come back again and again and again. So for me was like, hello, we're meeting each other, but I'm coming back.
Well, and hello again. You've been to Santiago, right?
Yeah, this will be the second time, because the first time I did it not as a pilgrimage, not as a pilgrim, but I came with my family, my husband, my mother, and my two kids, my two boys.
So are there more Caminos in your future then?
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Oh, great. Nidia, what a delight to talk with you and to hear your stories and to hear how it went. And I can just see you and imagine you and the beautiful energy that you bring with you and the blessing you must have been to so many people. So thanks for sharing your stories with us.
I love it. And for everybody that is listening, I know that you listen to things to be able to have an idea of what it's going to be. But if you listen to your friend Nidia here, that now I can call myself a pilgrim, I will tell you, just live your own story. It's okay. It's okay to be able to have ideas of the shoes that you can buy, or the backpack, or if to take a train or a bus, but just live your own story. And I hear so many negative things from people in the same place that I was walking when it was a week of raining, and I hear so many negative things from other people. And I could not say the same, because even when it was raining, even when it was cold, it was my Camino. And
Beautiful.
it could not be better than being in the cold, being in the rain. Sometimes was rainy, sometimes was sunny, but it was my Camino, and it's supposed to be the way that was. And I could not be more happy and blessed. But if you ask me, I will tell you, don't think about it. Just go and do it.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Nidia, we're going to end on that. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Nancy. Please, if in another time you need something from me, please let me know. And I for sure will tell you when I do my next one, so we can talk about it.
I would love that. I would love that. Thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome. I love you, sweetie. Thank you.